Hi, everyone. I think we are past the technical difficulties, and if you want to just double check if you're in the right place, we will be talking about taxes, so this is maybe last chance to run. But if you are here out of your own will, that's great, and I definitely owe you a beer later. My name is Dom. I'm a co-founder of Toku. At Toku, we are building token compensation solutions. In today's presentation, I will talk a little bit about token incentive plans, and they are also commonly known as token grant agreements. So just to not make the mistake between what Kevin was talking a little bit earlier about, where you're using grants to fund new projects. In my presentation, I will be talking about how to incentivize your employees and your contractors that are working on the team and are getting paid in tokens, so sort of different form of grants. And we will talk a little bit about tax compliance, which is everyone's favorite topic. So a little bit, a few steps back about what, why, when, and how about token incentive plans and grants in general. A lot of projects that have a token think about how to reward their employees and contractors. In tokens, it seems like a natural extension, right? You want to provide the upside in the project and in the success to your team. Of course, it is also about incentives alignment. There's also a part that is maybe not that discussed commonly about in the changing regulatory environment. There are certain exceptions and tax benefits of providing tokens as part of the compensation to your employees and contractors in ways that maybe otherwise wouldn't be able to get to them. So maybe there are restrictions on who can invest in your project, and maybe you have to be qualified investor, or maybe there are other restrictions with respect to holding the tokens that can be mitigated by using the exemptions for compensation. There are also projects that don't have a token, that use token compensation. Even paying people in stables is sort of a subset of that. But in today's presentation, I will be talking about longer-term incentives. So in the traditional Web2 startup, you probably would get a stock options or some form of equity compensations. In the crypto world, you get token and token vesting awards. There are some parallels and there are some similarities, but there are also many differences. So they are worth thinking about. When it comes to projects or sort of relevance of this topic, it's not only a question of when you already launch the token and then start to think about how to channel the tokens to your employees, but a lot of projects that we actually work with are pre-token launch, and they don't even have an estimated date for the launch, but they want to get it right very early, because at that point, there are big tax benefits from doing it early, where the token doesn't have a value or nominal value, and making sure that people get those early with limited tax obligations, as opposed to later when the token is launched fully liquid and has a massive value that then obviously translates to massive tax obligations. Wow, you got my screensaver as well. I hope you'll like that educational part in the middle of the presentation. And then finally, we get to how. So you might be thinking, okay, so I have a token, and then I have a subset of problems related to making sure that I can pay in my native token to my team. But also, I just said that there are teams that don't have a token and are also thinking about this problem. So it sort of becomes relevant for a lot more people. And it comes down to thinking about three things, thinking about the legal structure. So what type of agreements you want to give to your team. And you might be thinking about keeping everything on chain. There are some benefits. There are many things that are not that effective. A lot of governments are sort of less crypto native and are not really translating that easily things that are on chain onto the reality, creating a lot of problems for people who are actually the grant recipients, so the employees who then have maybe a lot of tokens in their wallet, but no actual ability to off-ramp or rent an apartment or get a mortgage. So legal contracts are really important. They have to be localized, so every jurisdiction is slightly different. You have to think a bit about those things. Then tracking vesting and tax obligations. So you gave the token grants to your employees or contractors, and you have to start thinking about, okay, how many tokens vest per month, or what kind of structure is it? Do people execute and actually take advantage of those tokens? Do they sell them? What is sort of happening throughout that funnel? Because there are tax obligations that differ depending on each action. There are obligations that fall on the employer, so the issuer of the token who's giving them to contractors and employees, but there are also obligations that fall on the employees and contractors. So many different stakeholders in this whole equation. And finally, you have to think about the distribution. So how do I ensure that the employee gets the right amount of tokens, but also making sure that the tax authority in a specific jurisdiction is happy? You might be thinking, okay, those 3 steps were super easy, so why are we even here talking about it? And then we are coming to the sort of other questions that happen as soon as you think when it's easy. So this slide is really overwhelming, but it's just a subset of questions that we are dealing with on a daily basis at Toku, because token grants are tricky, and tax compliance is tricky. And in crypto, everyone is everywhere. The teams are fully remote, fully distributed, and all of a sudden those problems compound. But don't worry, there are answers to those questions, and if you feel overwhelmed, we will help answer some of them. And at Toku, that's exactly what we do. So at Toku, we are simplifying token compensation and tax compliance. We deal with projects across the spectrum. So some of the projects that we work with are listed here, and there are many more that aren't, especially in early stages. At Toku, we are working with projects across different stages of both the project lifecycle, but also token and grant lifecycle. We ensure that everyone has legal documentation appropriate for the structure of the token, regulatory environment, obviously different jurisdictions, the incorporation matters, where employees and contractors are based matters. And then we are doing real-time taxable events tracking and payroll integration, making sure that those tokens that are vesting as part of grants are looked into sort of within the context of the broader compensation, so base salary and the bonuses, and making sure that this is integrated into payroll. And then we are running automated token distribution, so making sure that employees actually get them fully tax compliant, that contractors get them fully tax compliant with all the reporting. And most importantly, we work with governments in 100+ jurisdictions globally on making sure that actually tax authority in those 100+ jurisdictions are also happy, and that no one is at the risk of non-compliance. So when it comes to ways of thinking about it, if you are an employee receiving token grants, if you are a contractor getting paid in crypto, if you are a founder of the project and you are thinking about potentially launching a token in the future, or maybe you raised on a token warrant, or if you already have a token that's liquid and you're already sort of struggling with those things and have had to find answers to some of those questions behind, you can think of us and you can come and chat. There's a lot of problems that we solve. There's a lot of interesting problems that we get to solve on a daily basis because every token is different, regulations change constantly, tax code changes every year, and there's also a lot of interesting problems that come up. Some of our partners are thinking about launching a NFT-based grant because that just feels right within the context of their project. So there's a lot of creative work that we do as well, as opposed to non-creative work when it comes to tax reporting. There are sort of battles that you have to choose where to get creative and where to stay in line with regulations. But if you are thinking about some of those problems, if you experience some of those issues, reach out. Here are more details about us. We are also here in Paris for the rest of the week, so if you want to grab a coffee, let us know. And I know that we have, I think, a few minutes left, so if someone has any questions, I'm happy to take maybe one or more if there's any question in the audience. And if not, we can go for a beer early.
Do we have any questions? You do? No? Okay, I think they all want beer.
Yeah, let's go. Oh, sorry, I have probably an amazing speaker after me, so please stay. Thank you.